Hey nerds, Monica here. Hope you all are having a fantastic Tuesday. In my previous video, I shared the top 3 common SQL mistakes that will throw an error message. Our rubber duck friends can easily help with these errors. However, there are other mistakes that I want to share that don't necessarily result in errors, but they do result in bad analysis. One of them being counting columns with null values. So when you're counting columns, it makes a difference whether you count by the column name or count by that asterisk wildcard. Another one being using between incorrectly. So between might not mean what you think it means. We'll get into that one later. And the last one being ignoring the integrity of using joins. Now, this one was provided by David Mullin. Thank you for this. At a high level, integrity refers to the relationship between two tables. And if a join is done badly, then you can introduce things like duplicate rows. Now, rubber duck debugging can still help in these situations, but it may take a bit more describing the end-to-end process and doing some additional checks. So with that, let's go ahead and grab our daily duck. All right, today is the 6th. Oh, man. Okay, here. This one looks so bundled up. I mean, it's not a penguin, obviously, because it's a duck, but it looks very much like a penguin because he's all black and white. Got a cool little hat with a scarf. Super adorable. Now I will get into some examples of these sneaky mistakes. Let's go ahead and put our rubber duck down for now. All right, and on the screen, I'm showing the same editor that we used in a previous video provided by W3 Schools, which is a great platform for learning languages, providing tutorials, and things that you can walk through yourself. So our first mistake, again, was counting null columns or counting columns with null values. This table, I want to show categories just because it's a very small table. Right now, it doesn't have any null values, but we can easily introduce that by using, I'll go ahead and just paste this, insert into categories table. Category name, we are going to insert the value table where. And we can see here that it increased the table. And if we just click over here, it brings that back up. So you can see here that there is now 9 rows. The tableware has been added to the category name, and we have description with a null value. Now let's see what happens when we want to select count description. We'll go ahead, run this. We have 8, which is a little funny because there's a total of 9 records in here. That's the issue with this. However, if you use our little asterisk, wildcard, then you can see here that accurately it shows that there are 9 rows total, but there are null values. So depending on what actually you're trying to count, if you don't want to even count null values, then you would use the column name. So be very careful in how you're structuring your SQL queries. Next mistake is using between incorrectly. Now, what I mentioned that you might not think what it means what it means. So by that, let's look at the products table. All right, so the products table you can see here has 77 records. And what we want to do is let's just look at where price is between 25 and 30. Just check that out. Now, what's funny here is that between, you wouldn't think that it would include 30 or 25, right? But it's an inclusive statement. So what you want to do here is just 5.1, 9.9, and then you can run that and then accurately show here. Again, if you're intentionally wanting to include 25 and 30, go ahead and write it as such. Just again, be aware of how you're structuring your SQL queries. Now, lastly, again, provided by David Mullin, thank you very much, is ignoring the integrity of a join. And with this, so what happens is you want to be joining your two tables where in both tables, they have unique values. So like a customer, you would think customer ID and employee ID would be two unique values, right? Let's dig into this to see if that's correct. So here we have our customer table, and then we have our employee table. And what we want to do is find out what employees are selling to which customers. So we'll join that, the customer table and the order table using that customer ID. And then just for visual, order that by customer ID and employee ID. So if we run this, what we see here, if we scroll down to customer ID 10, you can see here that customer ID 10 has been sold products by employee 4 twice. So when you're only looking at these particular columns, this is duplicate record. But one way that you can help this is by adding another unique value. So order ID. So then if you run that, you have here, and this shows that there are two unique orders for that particular customer. So again, structuring your query to be very meaningful in what you're trying to do. Now with our rubber duck friends, again, this will be a little bit more difficult to describe to them what you're trying to do, but providing and performing these additional checks, really looking into that data line for line, making sure that you guys are both on the same page, and you can, help each other find these types of sneaky mistakes. Now, I do hope that this was helpful in showing the different ways that you can structure your SQL queries. And for those that are watching, thank you so much. Thank you to our rubber duck best friend. And since this is an official YouTube video, go ahead and subscribe, click that bell for notifications, and happy learning.